Hello there. I'm Esther from the Active Withernsea LDP, and I'm stood under our sort of fledgling walnut tree. It's starting to rain outside, so I thought this was kind of like our endeavours at Active Withernsea. It's finding its feet, it's finding some strength, it's following the light, and it feels like that's a bit like where we are. In terms of what we want to share, the couple of things that we're doing are we're creating like a distributed network of interested parties who are involved with physical activity in Active Withernsea and are interested in the way we're doing things. Previously, some of these have been board members, but there are others who have not been board members and have just been involved, or maybe just seen us from afar. So we're just at the beginning of bringing those people who have the energy and the commitment to try and make changes into that network. And so that network will receive some of the training and learning from our consultants and from our experience using what the consultants have taught us, and that through learning on systems thinking, on adult development, how to be aware of how they're having their conversations, how they approach this kind of work. So the key principles and learning being kind of passed through to them, and then being able to shape what it is that how they carry that forward and how it looks to them. So initially there's going to be a number of workshops, but in between, the communication, the informal communication as part of that network is going to be really important in terms of keeping those lines active throughout. And one of the key points is that it's like a porous network, so you don't have to be at everything. You be at the things that interest you, the things you can contribute to, and so it keeps relevant for people rather than having to sit through things that you don't really see your part in. So, like I say, we're right at the beginning of that, but that feels a really nice home for the passing on, because through these people, cascading it through their own organisations, cascading it through their own networks of people that they're already engaging with, they can then bring this learning through to a broader range of people from the community, and can start to grow this kind of dynamic way of holding physical activity and community engagement in the community when we're not there. So that feels like a really nice thing to be able to share, even though we're right at the beginning of that. And the other thing that we're going to share is around the participatory theory of change. So we've been through a number of stages of engaging with the team about how things have changed through Active Withernsea and the direction of travel. So we've had a number of systems thinking informed sessions through Gerald Midgley that have helped the team pull that together in terms of where they see their work, how it connects to the wider system, and the kind of priorities for the future. So we're now at a point where we know we want to ask maybe people who are in the PACE network and others to tell us about how they see change happening through Active Withernsea. What is it that they see? What have they experienced? And how can that inform our theory of change and how we're sort of marking ourselves against that theory? How are we seeing it, but how are others seeing it as well? And so that's a participatory whole of how we are all seeing how change happens. So as a way of going into that, we've already been using our social network mapping software, Kumu, to look at all our partners and who they are, and we've been through quite a process of using the metrics of the social network mapping alongside a model that's been provided by Gerald Midgley in order to identify those people who will be interviewed, because obviously we can't even interview everybody. And so through using that software and being able to take out of a network ourselves or the people that are working on the ground, and see what is left, and see who are the leaders, see who are the most connected people when we're not in the picture. And that's been really revealing, and it's thrown up through metrics, through this software, who is at the centre. And some of those were surprises to us, and which just shows you how much our biases and our blinkers prevent us always seeing who might be the leaders, or who might be the people who might have some insight into how change happens. And so we've just done that piece of analysis and are about to now enter into the interviews themselves. So that's something else we want to share. I guess the theory of change, though, is also something we want to ask about, because this is new. Of course we're using our consultants to try and make sure it's a robust process, but wondering if anyone else out there is doing a participatory theory of change and how they're approaching it. And the other ask is we're just about to start developing an interactive website. So when we started to try and put together reports for different audiences, different people, using different elements of what we're evaluating and learning, it was such a task and so difficult to do, and not quite hitting the mark for any of them, and also knowing that a report just sits in a folder or sits on a shelf. And so began to think about doing an interactive website where all the learning can sit there, where people can go and find what they want and pull out and use the bits that are interesting to them at different levels. So we're just having those first conversations, really wanting to house it somewhere where people can access it again when we're not there, when Active Withernsea is finished in 2025. And so maybe on an Active Humber website, maybe on a something associated with the council, we're not sure yet. But if there's anyone out there who's developing that kind of an interactive repository that's kind of funky, attractive, usable for professionals, but also residents and everything in between, then that's another ask. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, I think that's us from Active Withernsea. See you soon.